Okay, a presentation on New Spirit Village, an affordable homeownership solution. So here's the problem. Homeownership is just inaccessible for too many people. We've got high prices here in Southern Oregon with high interest rates, and that creates high payments. And for the most part, a lot of first-time home buyers, they're just priced out of this market, and rent is not cheap. And so that creates these crazy, scary numbers. The median sales price for a home in Jackson County right now, $440,000. Combine that with an FHA loan with $15,000 down at 6.5%. It's a $3,300 a month mortgage payment. When you combine that with the average household monthly income of just under $6,000 a month, you have a prescription for bankruptcy, essentially. $3,300 out of $6,000 gross just doesn't make sense. But here's something that does. New Spirit Village is a path not to a rental, but it's a path to home ownership with no down payment, no funding fee, and monthly mortgage payments that start with that same 6.5% interest rate of just $1,450 a month. So what is New Spirit Village? Well, it's a subdivision of 87 newly built stick frame homes. And we're not talking about manufactured homes or townhomes or condos. These are detached 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom homes in West Medford, right next to Lewis Park. It's centrally located. And at the very heart of what they are is designed affordability. These are designed to be affordable. And they're offered inside of a community land trust. So, what is a community land trust, you ask? Well, this is where the nonprofit owns the land that your home sits on, and the homeowner owns the house, and the homeowner leases the land from the nonprofit on a 99-year renewable land lease. Well, land lease, this sounds like a mobile home park. No, again, stick-built, frame-built construction, and your typical space rent that you might pay of $500, $600, $700, $800 a month. In this case, the monthly land lease fee is $50 a month. And it's not done on a 1-year lease. It's done on a 99-year lease, which actually solves a lot of problems that you traditionally find in mobile home parks where financing is really hard. These homes qualify for a traditional 30-year mortgage. And again, the land is not owned by some for-profit corporation that's always trying to increase your monthly space rent. It's owned by a nonprofit, and that space rent in this case has gone from $40 to $50 over the course of 25 years. So the nonprofit's name is Proud Ground, and it's their mission to create affordable housing. So how is it affordable? Well, the single biggest component is there's a purchase price discount. You're buying these homes for far under their market value. Most recent example is we had a 3-bedroom that appraised for $309,000. It sold for $235,000, a $74,000 discount. And in a community land trust model, you can actually use that discount to serve as your down payment. So effectively what you're doing is you're creating 100% financing, no down payment. And for folks who are under 80% of AMI, the discount is so large, it actually allows them to go ahead and get their loan with no mortgage insurance. So again, 100% financing without PMI, and because this is done with conventional financing, there's also no funding fee. And the most common loan product that's used is an OHCS loan called First Home, which arguably has some of the best rates out there right now for any type of product, conventional or government. So when you add all this up, what does it mean? Well, if you take $500 of earnest money, you can go ahead and buy a 1-bedroom, 1-bath home and get a $1,450 a month payment, including taxes, including insurance, including the land lease fee. A 2-bedroom, 1-bath would have a payment of about $1,600 a month. A 3-bedroom would have a payment of about $1,800 a month. Now, all of this assumes an interest rate of 6.5%. Technically, today, the interest rate is lower than that for the OHCS First Home product. And you can actually Google OHCS First Home and just go see what interest rates are today. They're always available on the state website. And as far as closing costs are concerned, you can either pay those out of pocket, finance them into the deal, which would add about $50 a month to the numbers I'm showing you here, or cover them with down payment assistance. So numbers that are essentially at, or a lot of times below, what you would pay for rent for a comparable 3, 2, or 1 bedroom unit. Median rent right now for a 3-bedroom in Medford, Oregon is about $2,300 a month. So, benefits to the client. Well, first of all, there's a whole new segment of clients, because folks who don't make 6-figure incomes, for the most part, who don't have down payments, aren't able to buy homes right now. And you can have a household income all the way down to the 40s, roughly, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 range, and be able to buy a home with no down payment, with 100% financing. And so we're talking about something becomes a real alternative to rent, not just because the payments are reasonable, but also because you can be out of pocket for less than first, last, and deposit. We also, a lot of times, are seeing folks actually improve their cash flow position, not just because the payment is good, but because these are super energy efficient. They're brand new homes. And you're no longer in a situation where you're renting. You're actually building equity. You're able to take advantage of appreciation, which we'll talk about more later, and you're also able to pay down your principal on your mortgage. And finally, fix your housing cost. Get inflation working for you as opposed to against you, because your income is going to go up with inflation every year, but finally your monthly housing cost stays the same as opposed to rent going up every single month. So who actually qualifies for these? Well, there's 2 different categories because we have state funding involved. OHCS dollars are involved in this program to go ahead and bring the cost of these homes down. So if you're under an 80% AMI household income level, and household income level gets determined by the size of your household. So you see here on this chart, a 1-person household can have an income up to $49,200. A 5-person household can have a household income up to $75,900. If you fall underneath those numbers, you get the very best pricing on New Spirit Village homes. Over 80% up to 120%, there is about a $50,000 delta. So you can always find the latest prices for all these homes either on the MLS or on Zillow. So you buy one of these homes and you're like, okay, what happens when I want to resell it? I know there's some things here because there's state money involved. Well, the Community Land Trust works off of what we call a pay it forward model. You get a deal when you buy one of these homes, and you're expected to pass that deal along to the next person when you sell, because they want to not just create affordability once, they want to create permanent affordability with New Spirit Village. So, well, what does that look like then if the home goes up in value? So the way the pricing works when trying to determine your future price when you sell in the future is you're going to take your original purchase price. So if we use the 3-bedroom example of the home we just sold, they're allowed to add to their original purchase price when they want to go sell in the future 25% of the appreciation that's happened to that home while they've owned it. So how do you determine that? Well, you actually get an appraisal typically when you buy a home, and you also pay for an appraisal when you're ready to go sell. And the difference between those 2 appraisals, that determines your level of appreciation, and 1/4 of that you can add to your original purchase price. And then you're also able to add to that the realtor commissions, the fees, and that becomes your new sales price. So $235,000 original home purchase, let's say it goes up by $100,000 in value, we can add $25,000 to that 235 number. So now we're at 260 when we want to go sell in the future. Let's say there's $15,000 in realtor fees. Now we're at a $275 sales price when we want to go ahead and sell that house that we bought for $235 in the past. And so we're able to capture the 25% of the appreciation when we sell, and we're also able to capture all of the principal reduction that's happened to that mortgage while we've lived in that home. So who should do this? Definitely if you're a first-time home buyer. If you're renting, this becomes an option on the table because most first-time home buyer options right now in our 6 and 7% world start at about $2,500 a month, no down payment. If you're renting and you're concerned about housing security, you have seen your rent go up every single year, you've seen your landlord is talking about selling your home, and you know that that means you're going to be likely having to move. You own one of these homes, you own it. You don't, I mean, it's yours forever as long as you're paying the mortgage on time. It can also be a good stepping stone home. It is really hard right now to save money to go buy that first house, right? And so if you change your mindset a little bit to say, listen, I'm going to consider a New Spirit Village home, and because I can get into it with very minimal capital, and I can still be paying down my mortgage, still be realizing some of the appreciation, which puts me in a better spot than I would have been renting. This can be the home that you're in for 3, 5, 7 years while you're saving up to go buy that next house. And then for a lot of folks, rent is so expensive. Those $1,400, $1,600, $1,800 numbers I shared with you, they're cheaper than what you're paying in rent right now. So you're actually potentially talking about increased cash flow. You're talking about utility savings because these are brand new, super energy efficient homes. And there is not a first-time home buyer requirement attached to these homes. So they can even make sense for somebody who owns an existing home and is looking to downsize and stretch how far their capital will go. Now, you must own or occupy in all these situations, no investors. So how to get started? Well, we'd recommend you come take a look at them, right? Seeing is believing. We do open houses at New Spirit Village pretty much every Saturday. So come take a tour or reach out to the real estate agent that shared this video with you and ask them to take you through one of these homes. You're like, hey, I like what I see. I like the payment. I want to get going. Go visit proudground.org. Fill out the intake form. There's an information session video you'll be asked to watch and start providing some documents for you to go through a HUD counseling session and also go through an underwriting process with ProudGround. A little bit different than your traditional home sale because you're going to get, if you're getting financing, you're going to get underwritten by the lender to get the loan. But ProudGround, who owns the dirt, is also going to underwrite you as the buyer because they want to make sure that you can afford the payments for the home because they own the dirt underneath it. And once you're through that underwriting process, which depending on the time of the year that you're doing this in, might be as short as a couple of weeks, might be slightly more than a month, you'd be invited to write an offer on one of these homes and you can go start your traditional escrow process. So check out proudground.org for more information, or go check out New Spirit's website, newspiritvillage.org, or please reach out to the real estate agent who shared this video with you. Thanks so much.